In the last two videos, we installed Node.js and also we installed the Angular CLI. Right now, we want to install another framework which we are going to be using, which is Ionic and Cordova. And as you know, Ionic is used to build cross-platform hybrid mobile application. And that is what we are going to be doing in this course. But before then, we need to install Ionic and Cordova. We are going to install through the command line interface, just like the way we did for the Angular CLI. To get started, let's visit the link ionicframework.com. Now type ionicframework.com, you hit enter. Now this is going to take us to the Ionic documentation page. Right here on this page, you can go through it. It says build amazing apps in one code base for any platform with the web. So this allows us to build cross-platform mobile hybrid applications. So you can go down to read more about Ionic framework. Now, to get started, we'll have to go to this developers, then the drop down, we can click setup and installation. But note, for now, we are not going to sign up to use the service. We are just going to install the CLI and we can make use of the API. So click on this developer, then drop down setup and installation. Right here on this page, you are going to see the command that will enable us to install Ionic and Cordova. So here for the installation, here it says first install Node.js. We already have Node.js installed. So then install the latest Cordova and Ionic command line tool in the terminal. And from after installing that, we can then set the platforms that we are going to be using, maybe Android or the iOS platform. For now, let us install the Ionic and the Cordova command line tools. So what we're going to do, copy this out. So I'll copy this, or we can just go to the terminal here, and I'm going to type npm install then -g. Now, just like we did for the Angular CLI, we're going to install this globally. So we are using the -g flag. And note, if you only want to install a package for a particular project, you just use the -save. It's going to install into the package.json for that project. But if you want to install globally, then we use this -g flag. So we say npm install -g, then we type Cordova, then Ionic. Now this is going to install both the CLI for Ionic and Cordova. So I'll hit enter. It's going to take some time as well. I'll pause the video, then we'll continue when it's complete. So right here, we can see that the CLI for the Ionic and Cordova have been installed. So Cordova version 8.0.0, whereas Ionic version 3.19.0 have been installed. So we have Node.js installed, the Angular CLI installed, Ionic and the Cordova CLI as well, they are already installed. So if I clear this now, if you still want to check the version of Ionic installed, you can type ionic-v and it's going to give you the version number. As you can see, it's 3.19.0. Now if we go back to the ionicframework.com page, here you can see how to create a new application. In a later video, we are going to create a new project and we are going to see how to create the new project and also run the Ionic serve to start up the server. So throughout this course, we are going to visit the UI components and the API reference pages. So if I click on these UI components right here, you are going to see the different components that can be used to create or to build the mobile applications. Also from the components here, we can go to the API reference, which can see the references here on how to make use of the alerts controller, which will allow us to use alerts in our mobile application, buttons, checkbox, and so many components available. Throughout this course, we are not going to touch every UI component or we are not going to go through every API reference we have in Ionic, but we are going to touch the ones that will enable us build our mobile applications. Also, we are going to see how to use some Ionic native plugins. We are going to see that if we click on these developers, then native plugins. We are going to see how to use some Ionic native plugins. We have different plugins. If you see here, we have the plugin for 3D touch. We have the plugin for payment, this is the type of payment, integration, add mob. Also, we have plugins for maybe background geolocation, because we're going to see how to use the geolocation native plugin. And there are different plugins available, over 200 plugins or native plugins available in Ionic. And we're going to see how to use maybe one or two of those plugins. So in the coming sections, we are going to see or talk briefly about Angular, the components, directives, and the rest. Also, we're going to talk briefly about Ionic before we start building our mobile application.